Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the This Is the Music Meets Podcast, an independent podcast show that's dedicated to introducing you to rising indie and alternative artists from across the UK and Ireland. If you are new to the podcast, then please hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on any future episodes, and feel free to leave a comment as it really does help us beat the algorithms. It's now time for episode 121, and today's podcast I am joined by Northeast indie rockers Club Paradise, who are set to release their new EP Life on TV. As well as talking about the EP, we're going to reflect on the band's 2024 so far, their forthcoming headline show, and much, much more. So it is a warm welcome to Ryan and Nathan to the This Is the Music Meets podcast. Lads, thanks very much for coming on. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Just bracing myself for all this stormy weather that I think we've got coming our way from
Yeah.
from Florida.
Yeah. It started up here as well now.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. So yeah, it's going to be coming down south then in the not too distant future, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, there was some floods just next to where we are yesterday, so
It's always flooding.
it's all yeah, it is it's always flooding.
Wow, yeah, because you're North Shields based, right?
Yeah, we're like right on the River Tyne, right at the mouth of the Tyne, yeah.
Oh, wow, blimey, right, yeah. So in fact, yeah, if I can imagine what that's like.
Cool.
Yeah. So obviously, as I said there in the intro, we've obviously got quite a bit to sort of find out about Club Paradise and all the exciting stuff that you've got coming up in sort of the next week and a half or so as we're recording this podcast. But sort of before we do, let's go right back to the very, very beginning and sort of like really talk about your earliest musical memories. So can you sort of, maybe remember, maybe like a particular song or maybe an album or a band or something that sort of you first heard and sort of shaped your influences as you've got a little bit older?
I'm thinking of a song, right?
And I
it's
don't know what you're gonna say.
It's On Call by
Right,
Kings of Leon.
because of the Times album wise.
Yeah.
And I thought
classic.
I didn't know if you were gonna think of the same
I
thing.
would have said album because of the
Yeah.
Times, so song off that album
We-
makes sense.
We grew up together in the same street.
Yeah. Oh,
And,
wow.
like, my parents really love their music. Nate's family really love their music. Nate's brother loved like the early horrors stuff and and early Kings of Leon and all that. So when we were like,
Yeah, it was around that sort of indie alternative, like the Klaxons and
yeah,
all
Yeah.
Kooks Horrors, all that kind of stuff.
and like that song, I remember like we'd gone at the cricket club
Yeah.
and it'd be in your mum's car and Kings of Leon would just be blasting, and so that for me. But I think influence wise, like shaped by so much music from both of our families
Mm.
and each person in that family listening to different stuff as well.
Yeah.
But that's the song I'd pick out.
Yeah. No, brilliant. I absolutely massive Kings of Leon fan in that sort of first three, certainly the first three albums and some of the
Yeah.
fourth album, and I think that's the one that they put Sex on Fire on. And yeah, when they went ironically, I used to say, oh, wouldn't it be great if you saw a band from the beginning and then
Yeah.
they went all the way and they exploded and then it happened and I thought, oh, this is the worst thing that could have happened. It was I just remember I saw them at where was it, Wembley Arena, and they was obviously
No way.
promoting that album, and basically everyone was just talking in between every single song, and I'm there with my brother, and we're like, Red Morning Light comes on, and all of that,
Yeah.
we're jumping around and whatever else. People are like looking at this, going, who are these two weirdos here, like jumping around. Sex on Fire comes on, everyone's dancing, and everything finishes, and I don't know, I think Holy Rolling Over Cane come on, and again. What like
Right.
looking at us like when it's like I said I'm done, that is it, I'm
Yeah.
done, which is a shame really, but hey, there you go.
Such like a polarized fan base, isn't it?
Yeah,
From
I think it's better now that they've released so much stuff after and they've dipped into the old roots a bit, and the both sets of the earlier fans and the newer fans, I think both have an appreciation now. Whereas in that period you're on about, it was happening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people were angsty about it, and then the new fans the older fans got quite angry at the new ones. But I don't think there's many wars at the gigs now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember being angry as like a 12-year-old at it. Just don't name 5 songs.
You
Name
feel
5
really
songs.
possessive over it, don't you? And you're
Yeah.
like, you know all of like the roots of it all, and like, I'm like, have you even seen Talahina Sky? How?
Absolutely. I remember as well, I used to put them on Edith Bowman and what was his name? Colin Murray.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I remember what album it was. But they literally did like a whole day on like Radio One of whatever what was that year? Was that 2004, maybe 2005,
Might have
possibly?
been
Can't
Youth,
quite
Young and
remember now.
Manhood.
Yeah, quite, maybe. I can't remember. I remember that they just did a whole day of just every DJ had to play like whatever, pick one song off of the or two off of for the show or whatever, and just people in work going, who are these? It's like, well, yeah, these guys.
That's
But
been
yeah,
that.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
been.
And what about concerts? Was it Kings of Leon were they the first ones you went to go and see, or was it somebody else?
I don't know in terms of early. I think they were one of the first. I remember my brother was already going and kind of made my dad get tickets for me and my dad. So we were sitting. I think we bought my dad tickets for Father's Day, and he didn't know who they were, so it meant I could go. So I was really young. I remember going to see Arctic Monkeys as well, and they toured Humbug, so we wouldn't have been that old. I remember being in PE and like my mom like coming into school and she's like, "Are you going to a gig tonight?" Yeah, like begging them to go. But yeah, my brother was 7 years older, so he was like early 20s when all of this scene was kicking off. So
Yeah,
I got into some stuff that I probably wouldn't have otherwise. But yeah, I'd say Arctics probably.
My first one was The Naked and Famous. Do you remember them?
yeah, I do. Yeah,
When they
wow.
did the album that had Youngblood on,
Yeah,
which I think might have been called A Wolf in Geek's Clothing or something like that. But it had
yeah.
Girls Like You on and all those amazing tunes on, and it was at the Riverside in town. It was like it's like a 300 or 400 cap venue, and I'd only listened to like the songs ripped off YouTube. Someone sent me it on their phone, right? So I never didn't know like what they looked like, who they were. I didn't know that they were from New Zealand. I didn't know anything.
It was before, like, yeah, it was kind of you wouldn't know what someone looked like unless
Yeah,
you went on to MTV or yeah,
exactly.
like, yeah.
And it was like it was like the era of listening to music on YouTube when there was just a still image that you were
Yeah.
listening to it to. And they came out of the venue, and me and this lad from school were stood like waiting in the queue, and I think they thought we would have been like, oh, hiya, and I had no idea who it was, so I just kind of went, all right,
Just didn't
and just yeah. But they were unbelievable. That was the first gig I remember. Like I think I went to, like especially on my own. Like I don't remember one going on before then though.
Yeah, I
Don't
can't
remember.
actually remember. There's probably the other ones I've been to, but yeah,
Yeah,
them ones stick out.
yeah, that was mint. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Oh, fantastic.
What
Early
was
memories.
yours?
My first gig, well, my first one, I saw Oasis at Wembley
No way.
2000. So the night that eventually become Familiar to Millions.
Yeah, yeah.
So which was class. Went with my dad, which I've been pestering when I saw the tickets. I couldn't ironically couldn't get a ticket for the Saturday. They'd gone. And then I remember I was on the bus on the sort of coming home from school and it come on the radio. Another date's been announced. So I literally got off the bus. I don't even know why I got off, but why I just run home and it's like, oh,
Just
you're
had to
right.
take a deep breath
Yeah,
and
exactly.
run
You're all
home.
right. Yeah, yeah. You got to do it now. You promised. So yeah, managed to get one
Unreal.
flat and obviously as we know, fortunately for me, that was the better night to go to because obviously
Yeah,
Liam
yeah.
had a what should we say, a few beers, shall we say, the ahead of the second night. I think we'll use that term maybe, and maybe some other stuff as well. But so yeah, that was the first one, and I've never seen Happy Mondays before. Didn't know anything about them. So obviously seeing like Bez on the
Yeah,
stage,
yeah.
thinking who's this guy like dancing away, and that I generally had no idea. And who Doves as well were on support.
Ah,
So
Oh,
great,
that's
yeah,
great
really
band,
cool.
those.
Yeah,
so yeah, no, pretty
nice.
chuffed with that one.
Yeah, that's mint.
So, Club Paradise, you obviously started releasing music in 2018. So I'm assuming that you sort of must have formed round about that sort of time. So obviously you both said there, Ryan and Nathan, obviously that you live in the same streets. Obviously, clearly you knew each other before then. So is that basically how the band started? Just sort of, messing around, like messing around in the bedroom, practicing songs and stuff?
The band started nearly 10 years before that.
Oh,
So,
right.
like
Wow, blimey.
in like different forms.
Yeah, different
So,
names, etc.
so like me and Nathan had played music just in my bedrooms and stuff together from when we were like kids. And
Yeah.
then Jackson and Harry had done a same thing because they lived around the corner from each other as well in a different school. And they played it together like every Friday night. I know this is a ritual of Harry and Jackson when we were kids. They would have like I think Harry would go to Jackson's every single Friday night and just basically spend the weekend there and they'd just play guitar the whole time. Harry played bass and Jackson played guitar just
Yeah.
all weekend. That's all they did. That's very similar to what we were doing, just further up the road, and we had no idea they existed. So then, like, you fast forward a bit. I went to high school with Harry and Jackson, and we were made to like we wanted to put a gig on. We wanted to have this band, and they're like, "Oh, if you want to do that, you have to play in Grease, the musical." And
Not the country.
yeah. So the lads were like, so Jackson was like, "I'll do the lights." Harry's like, "I'll sit in the pit and play bass." And then they're like, "And you're gonna sing Born to Hand Jive to me." And I was just like, "Oh man." So we did it. We played our first gig. We had a different drummer, and then we're like, "Oh, let's get Nathan to drum from then on." So we didn't even have a name when we played that show, and then we did that. We had a different name for a few years, Street Party in Soho, and then we just took a bit of time to learn how to record, learn how to like write and figure out what we wanted to write. And
Mhm.
then by the time 2018 rolled around, we had a few songs ready, and we just thought let's probably give it a good crack now. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been
sure.
good fun.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, sure. And obviously, we'll come on a little bit, reflecting on what you've sort of done since that first release, back in 2018. But obviously, part of the reason that we're here, on this podcast episode is obviously to chat about the new EP, Life on TV. We're recording this on a Wednesday evening, so the EP comes out on Friday the 11th. So probably by the time this podcast is out, you hopefully everyone at home already would have heard it. So it is highly anticipated. I know, obviously, what you put in your press for pack. It was maybe just only by the band, but very tongue in cheek there, I thought. But how excited are you to get to get the EP out there?
Yeah, very excited. We've always been, I mean, since we, well, not reformed or renamed, rebranded as Club Paradise, we've always had so much material kicking about, and we're perfectionists. We're quite meticulous in how we've got tried to hone our craft and get better at the recording side of things and the creative side, and that means we're very picky and we
Mhm.
sit on ideas for a long time and don't revisit them and start a new thing. Um, so we've not released as much as we would have liked to. And this EP specifically, we were in the studio last April, was it?
Hmm.
So April 23.
Yeah, yeah.
And we spent a week recording it. We had to go and do some finishing touches after, but it was the first time we'd been in space together, like the post-COVID landscape, and just sat for a week and got our ideas down, recorded everything, bickered about certain things, didn't bicker about other things. And it was really refreshing to be in that environment again. And it's taken a bit longer than we would have liked from that April. We were thinking maybe, August, September of that year.
Yeah.
So fast forward another year. So it'll be some relief to get it out, but a lot of excitement and just being able to show it to people, release it into the world. It'll be yeah, it's like having a little baby, isn't it?
It
That's
is,
that's
yeah.
like nine
Yeah.
nine months overdue.
It's
Uh,
been cooked twice.
yeah.
Yeah, it
and,
was a
and
good week that.
yeah, sure. And sort of then, so how was then the right? Presumably, you'd already written the EP when you went in to record it.
I think so. I can't
Um,
remember.
Mostly,
yeah.
mostly. Like I reckon half of it was done, and I reckon when we were writing because there was like we did all of the drums first. So when we got to like we had these little demos that Nath was playing to, and we'd get like halfway through one of them. I remember track that's on the EP wasn't a single called Interstate. We got like halfway through that and we're like, oh, Nathan, the demo's completely wrong. If you can
Mate.
just start playing something like this and and then if you do like however many bars and then just come back to the chorus and then we'll figure it out in a second. And he's like, right-o.
You're getting cutting for stuff, but yeah, there was again still a lot of ideas, a lot of unfinished things. We got led, and we're in there with
Yeah.
Chris, who worked
Yeah,
who
Chris
worked at the
is mint.
studio, who helped with a lot, guiding with.
I think he knew where the line was, where we were like, because What If These Days is the oldest song
Right.
on there. We wrote that like before COVID, and we've let it sit and stuff. And I think because of that, you get so eager to rewrite things if you hear it so many times. So we were like, oh well, we'll change that to this, change that to this. And Chris was really good at towing the line of like, well, actually, I think your song that you've got's the right version. Let's go with this. Let's do that. That choice is just because you're hearing it again. But with a fresh set of ears and things, when you've got songs that are that old going in there with songs that are so new, Years and Runaways, like they were probably written 2 months before we went in the studio or a month before we went in. So there's a vast difference in like I think where you are when you write the song, when there's that big time span of the writing period, when you start writing the first one, when you start writing the last one, and just all of those different things that you want to achieve. So it's like trying to find a common thread as
Yeah.
much as it is trying to have loads of songs that explore loads of different things, which
We
is really
didn't-
cool.
We didn't do much to them after that week,
No,
apart
no.
from obviously the mixing and the mastering.
Yeah.
But we didn't go, oh, I don't like that anymore. Let's cut that bit. There wasn't a lot of that, which there usually is with us,
Yeah,
though.
I think that was a good thing.
So I think that was
But
being in the studio for that long a time with each other.
yeah,
It might have just been because we ran out of energy. Like it was just like, oh, whatever comes out, comes out.
it still wouldn't be out now if we had it out.
And sort of like as well then in terms of the like the sound of the EP, how would you describe it? Because for me, I've been fortunate enough to hear it and heard it quite a few, a couple of times now, and obviously the singles obviously that you've put out that to help build up some interest in it and stuff. Because to me, you've sort of it's got a kind of like a sort of an indie pop sound about it with a bit of a nod maybe to like the 80s and maybe to sort of like the early sort of 2000s indie scene in there as well. Is that what you were hoping for someone to say? Is that
think
what
that's-
I've got that completely wrong?
I think that's absolutely fair enough. I think
Yeah.
we've always, it used to be not that much of a compliment that would have a lot of different style. We could play a 10-song set, and nobody would really know what we were about because there was so different sounding, and there's a lot of different sounds, there's a lot of different vibes on the EP, but I think there's a structure and a theme to it now, and
Definitely.
definitely that indie pop with it's like the Sunset Boulevard, like driving down at night, sort of GTA Vice
Yeah,
City sort of
yeah.
thing,
I-
with the 80s influence, but yeah, it's still quite British indie.
It is.
Uh,
It's funny because like I think I mentioned this to someone recently, but we did an interview with someone in the US, and they were like, "Oh my God, your music is so accessible. It needs to get on the radio and all that sort of stuff." And over here, people are like, "Well, it's too it's not pop enough to be here, and it's not rock enough to be here, and it's not." You know what I mean? It doesn't quite. It kind of straddles the edge of the line so much. Whereas in the US, they're like, "Oh, it's like it feels like so commercial and so accessible."
yeah,
And we were like,
very American.
"Oh, we're in the wrong country."
Yeah.
But I would completely agree with
The land
that.
of opportunity.
And I think it's yeah, exactly. And I think it's cool like to ask people what you think of it, and like you telling us that. I think it's nice to hear the interpretations because we as the four of us listen to so much
Yeah,
different
we don't know.
music.
We don't know anymore. We used to be
Yeah.
really good at putting quite juicy adjectives together and ways of
I know.
explaining it, and then now we're like, I really don't know.
No.
So we listen to so much different music that some amalgamation
Yeah. And
comes out of it.
I think like while they're all quite similar, they have their own thing going on. So Chasing the Summer for me feels very Bryan Adams, and then Yes has this country guitar like in the rhythm section, and then
Interstate's got like the sort of like Only by the Night, Kings of
Yeah,
Leon, like
definitely.
anthemic, big sort of choruses.
yeah, and it's funny that we could definitely say in 2011 we heard this song, and now it's ended up on an EP in 2024, like without a doubt, because things just stick with us for so long, and we'll sit in the car together and in the van and stuff like that, and listen to the same music. So like White Lies first album is like
Yeah.
a big album for our band. And I think you can hear that in Interstate as well, in the same way that you can hear Kings of Leon, so that kind of stuff.
But what you said, well, is a compliment.
Yeah,
We're not
it.
like, that's
Love
not
it.
what
Yeah.
we're going for at all.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll take that. We'll end the podcast there. It's not going to get any better than that for me now. But you were just saying there as well, like that when you were playing gigs and stuff, that you had sort of a quite a mixture of different genres going on, and maybe people listening didn't quite know, like the sound of the band and all of that. So was that quite an easy decision then for the band to go, right, do you know what, we need to sort of settle down into sort of one. Oh, it's difficult. I don't want to pigeonhole you when I'm saying,
I know what
but
you
like
mean.
Evidently not from what we've just said. There's still a sound, but yeah, it made when you get a bit older and you've been doing it for so long. I think we didn't have a self-awareness about it for a long time, and we were just playing music because we were friends from school and we liked playing music, and that's still the case. But we started thinking, right, well, what do we want people to get from this and to think of us? And we're getting people saying you're so good live, like, and then when we sort of laid the tracks down, we're like, that doesn't sound anything like that one. Like, and then that's when this was probably pre Club Paradise, as I say, we've been together a long time, and then Club Paradise kind of formed a bit more of an idea and a structure.
We definitely carried some of those songs that wouldn't fit now into the first couple of sets because we had some songs that we just really enjoyed playing, and we were like, no, it is like this is our band. We're gonna play our music. But then after a while, it was kind of like that really makes no sense. Like, just some of the sampling stuff that we'd have. I know for a fact at one point in some of our tracks, we had a thunderstorm sampled, like when it dropped into the chorus of a song.
Skrillex.
Yeah, but like all I'm playing is like a clean guitar, and there's a thunderstorm going on. I know that me and Harry did that.
A lot of it was just doing mad stuff because we were learning to use Logic and then do tracking, and you are like, well, that sounds mad. It's like being at school and like pressing the DJ button and stuff. But
now we'll like do a demo and we'll play a song at practice, and the second it doesn't work, it's like, oh, never again. We don't touch it anymore. But like, there's been some wild steps to get to that point.
Bring the thunderstorms back in for like albums.
It sounded so good, It had delay on it as well.
The experimental years, love it.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is probably quite a difficult question, to be fair. But do you have a favourite track on Life on TV?
I do.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh no. It's between two. I do. So I really love playing Yes at the minute. And like it's cause like I mentioned before, the rhythm guitar is like chunky and it's got this like really cool thing going on. And I feel like it's the first time where the rhythm guitar, while everything else is going on, really is like the concrete for it. There's a part in the bridge where like the intro rhythm comes back in with the drums, and it's like you can feel it having like a super good presence in it. And when we play that live, I just think it comes together with such a big wall of sound that it's a goosebumps one for me that I really enjoy playing. Yeah.
No, I'm thinking it's hard. It's like picking between like your favorite chocolate or something, isn't it? Which is really hard. But I'd probably say What If These Days, just because it's, as Ryan said earlier, it's been around for so long. Not much about it's changed. It's quite different to a lot of the other stuff we write. Probably a bit more of a like crooner, like a romantic song from a drumming point of view, like a percussion point of view. I remember going to the studio and thinking, I don't really know what to do with this. And then it's ended up, apart from the breakdown, where Jackson sort of shreds this 80s guitar that you were like, why is that there? But then after the first listen, you're like, oh yeah, that's really good. Apart from the breakdown, the drums are just the same the whole way through. And I don't do a lot of that in our songs, and it's nice to do it. And I think when you've got a percussion part like that, it's because nothing else is needed. So it's just that's probably my favorite.
It's probably the most pop as well, even though it's the slowest and like the most kind of ballady.
It's a vulnerable song.
Yeah,
we don't have many where we kind of strip all that stuff back.
Yeah, so, definitely. Yeah. Do you have a favorite?
Oh,
I'll just have to get the track list up to remember the names.
It's all right. I've already written it down now. No, I think for me, I'd have to say "Chasing the Summer." I think really.
Oh, nice.
It's like like the big chorus on it. I think really it's just gets stuck in your head and in a good way. You
Yeah.
know, I sort of just like the guitars on it as well. Really,
I think that,
like the solo on it is really good.
yeah,
That's the one we were most sure about going in.
yeah,
I think we did everything on that first. It's the one we'd played live and
yeah,
it
yeah.
came together really quickly, and I think it sounds assured of itself,
And
doesn't
when
it?
you listen to like Teenagers, The Night Carnival, or Do You Feel the Same, those three songs, and then you put Got Chased in the Summer, that's that is it's just the
It
most
groups
us.
in with
Yeah, it makes
the
me.
older
It was a
stuff.
good
Yeah.
segue to start it as the first single from the EP to go from what we've
Yeah.
done before to doing this stuff because it kind of tied them together nicely.
hmm Yeah, no, definitely. I think yeah, like the flow as well with the EP. I think it's been you can clearly hear that when you were working out what songs to put on that
Yeah,
you have clearly thought about it because sometimes not being horrible to bands because it is difficult. Sometimes you just sort of feel oh they've just chucked oh they're our best songs we're just going to chuck them on
Yeah.
rather than try, and it doesn't always necessarily flow. But yeah, full credit to you there because for me it definitely does flow and I well, maybe it's just a personal preference. I'm not sure, but
I really
No,
appreciate
no,
that.
thank you very
That's
much.
mint. We did consciously decide not to put uh Neighborhood, which came out first this year.
yeah.
Before that, we consciously didn't put that. That has existed before this EP. And there's a song coming out next year that we also decided wasn't the right time, so we're gonna wait. So we do have stuff where it's all like timing is so well, like definitely has to play a part in it.
hmm
I would really hate if someone thought that you've wrote like really similar songs or that have come around at the same time because it does happen where you write two or three songs that are quite the same. Um, or or it's just like, oh, you've just thrown it together. I wouldn't like that. There's a lot of intention behind it all, from the artwork to the final mix. Everything's got an intent.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's good. It's quite refreshing actually as well to hear artists actually come out and say that there is, you know, there's a reason for
Yeah,
everything. You know, almost like I guess in a way like every song's almost got well, I guess every song has got a story to tell in many ways. And I think you've that's coming across for me really.
it's a really
Thank you.
throwaway world now, isn't it? And like
Mm.
bringing back a bit of meaning, bit of longevity to it. Like I like we're really bad at social media. I don't know if you've noticed, right? We're really, really terrible at it because it's so throwaway and like just so useless at making myself be online. Like I'm just so bad at it. But I hope that like you hear the intention as much as you can hear like your own interpretation of it. So like
hmm
I want it to have like, the double side of that.
hmm Yeah, no, definitely. Okay, so obviously we said earlier on that obviously Club Paradise sort of really got sort of I guess properly as a band, if you like, in terms of releasing music was back in 2018. So obviously since from then up until now, you've obviously you know had some pretty impressive stuff happen to you guys. It's fair to say you've obviously played alongside Badly Drawn Boy. You've had radio play with John Kennedy on Radio X and Jack Saunders as well on Radio One, and you've obviously received some critical acclaim as well from Clash Magazine as well along the way. So, are there any highlights that sort of really stand out for you? You know, and kind of like made you think to yourself, do you know what, we're on to something here. This is you know, keep going at it.
Yes, at the time, I don't know if I thought about it as much, but there's a festival in Stockton, and I don't know if it's still going, called Monroe. And
Mhm.
we played it. Had we played it before?
I think we
I
played
think,
it
yeah,
twice.
we played it twice. And as we were coming out of COVID and everyone was doing those sort of seated gigs and the socially distant gigs and stuff, we were asked to headline the main stage of this in Teesside. And first of all, it's not where we're from. That's a traveling gig for us. And second of all, it was a big room. The Georgian Theatre is like, if you think like the venue that we did last year for our headline show is like 300 cap in our hometown, the Georgian is like must. I mean, it was socially distanced, but if it was stood, it's like must be like a 600, 700 cap room because it's so long and so big. Um, and the festival was sold out, and everyone was there to see our set, which was really cool. And I remember thinking like being nervous because it was I think one of our first shows
Yeah,
since
back.
lockdown,
Yeah.
yeah. And then we headlined, and it was like, that's nuts. We're not even from here. Like, but now I think about that, I'm like, that was a huge deal, a huge responsibility. And Adam who puts that on, he's always really supported us. So that was a cool moment. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I would say when we played with the Magic Gang as well.
Oh
That
yeah,
was yeah, we supported the Magic Gang at Northumbria University in one of the student unions, but the room is
massive.
I wouldn't know what the cap would be, but
I don't
1,000
know.
at least maybe.
But it was the
Yeah.
first time that we'd had somebody at the side of the stage doing monitors, and we were all kind of like, "Oh, this happens here."
This is what the crack is. But
Wow.
yeah, it was we kind of just got that gig
We just
from
emailed and
asking.
asked. Yeah, we
Yeah.
just said, "Do you need a support band for this show?"
Shy
And
bands get nothing.
like, yeah, go on, go for it. So we went on.
We've
Wow.
tried that with other stuff, it doesn't happen, and then you get offered other stuff. But yeah, that was a nice one to get
That was a
given.
really
It
cool show.
sounded great. It was a full room. A lot of people, I think, would gel with that sort of genre quite well, and
Yeah,
a lot of people were coming up to it. I think we made a lot of fans from that show
yeah,
who'd never heard of one. That's the nice thing about supporting the larger artists than us.
yeah.
There's less pressure on are people going to be there? Do we have to do a bit of the shifting of tickets and stuff like that? If you can turn up to a gig like that where it's already sold out,
Pressure's off, isn't
it's
it?
not going to be full when you're playing, but you might make 5 fans, you might make 50, you might make 100.
Yeah,
But that was a good show.
that was really cool. And Katie J. Pearson was the tour
Mm,
support on that
yeah,
on that. So we were first on, and then really really big fan of Katie. So that was really cool to share the bill with them as well. Like
yeah,
so good. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, cool, brilliant, well, fantastic memories, and yeah, some proud, a couple of, for both of you, really, a couple of proud moments
yeah, yeah,
in there, and that actually takes us on quite nicely. You're talking about the live side of things, because obviously next Saturday, the 19th of October, to coincide with the EP being released, you're obviously playing an EP launch show at Free Tanners Bank in North Shields. The ticket link is going to be in the episode bio, so do please go and get a ticket if you can, if you're up in that neck of the woods. So how excited are you for this show?
mega.
yeah,
We've never played our own show in North Shields. So like we're like on the outskirts of Newcastle and everything
Right,
happens in Newcastle. So
right.
this is the first we've played festivals in North Shields. There's like they're starting to do quite a lot of stuff around here now. We've never played our own show here because it just wasn't really possible until the last couple of
yeah,
years.
yeah.
Um, which is unreal. And we've got Nadeja playing, who's an amazing artist from Brazil, but she lives in Newcastle now. She's one of our best friends, so she's amazing. If you haven't heard her before, you should really check her out.
Mm.
And it's just a two-band bill, so like nobody's gonna be waiting around. Like if you come in and watch one band, you watch the second band, you go home. There's none of that 4 or 5 band crack going on. It's nice, good timings.
And kind of like thinking about live, is there anything in particular that you enjoy about it?
It's just such a different experience. We've always obviously we played so many shows when we were younger in like the YMCA in like North
Yeah,
Shields.
yeah,
Like we
yeah.
used to do shows like every week, it would feel like, in like little community pubs and stuff like that when we used to play covers, and then those kind of venues seen us go from covers to our own stuff.
Yeah.
And then we've kind of honed in on that now where it's a very professional setup for how
Yeah.
big of a band we are. And I think a lot of sound engineers and stuff quite thankful for that we turn up and they're like, oh, that makes our job a lot easier. And it's usually, you used to get so many technical difficulties playing
You kind
gigs,
of still expect them.
and they don't happen anymore, and we can get on and off stage very quickly, and it's stress free in a way. I mean, not
Yeah.
stress free, but it's a lot more chilled out. And um, we obviously have a full band there for these gigs. Where I think Ryan mentioned earlier, Harry, who lives down in London, he's not at the rehearsals very often, so it's one of the only times we'll get to come together as a four, and
Yeah.
it's very nostalgic, isn't it? It
It's
takes you back
lush.
every time you're on stage. It takes you back to when you were younger, and you just play music with your bros, really.
I
So
know,
it's
yeah.
yeah,
That's exactly it. Like, it's just you just look around, it's like, oh wait, what how old are we now? Like 28.
yeah.
Well, you're 27. But like
26
26,
and
sorry.
fun.
But we I reckon the first time the four of us played together, I think I was 14 or 15. So like you look around, we're still doing it. We're still like having the most fun.
Yeah.
And that's next level that because
Mhm.
like what else do you want to spend your time doing other than enjoying yourself and your life? So that's what we're doing. And that's why live's mint.
Absolutely, I agree with you. If you're not having fun doing it, then yeah, there's probably not much point
Yeah.
in doing it. You need to go and find something else to do, really. But yeah, look, I'm best of good luck with the gig because
Thank
it's
Thank
you.
you.
obviously really exciting for you, man. So on every This Is the Music Meets podcast, we ask all of our guests a series of questions that are sort of designed to be a little bit more light-hearted and help the listeners find out a little bit more about the artists that we are talking to. So the first question is, what artists on the underground sort of new music scene have you guys been checking out over the past sort of 12 months?
Um, I would say I don't know how underground they are, but I went to see Orlando Weeks out of the Maccabees at the Clooney the other week, and he had Chartreuse playing with him.
Right. Okay.
Who are don't know where they're from. They'll be I think Orlando's from like Elephant and Castle in London, so they'll be
Yeah.
around the same sort of area. And I remember hearing a song from them a couple of years ago, called "Keep Checking Up on Me," I think it's called, or "Keep Checking on Me," which is amazing. Similar story to what Ryan said earlier about being with a Nathan Famous. They were sat next to it in the Clooney, which is a music venue, and we were waiting to go in, and we didn't know what they looked like. And then we went in, and then they got on stage, and we're like, oh. And yeah, they blew me away. A very, very good band. Um, Quite up and coming. I think they've got one album out, but seem to release stuff pretty frequently.
Mhm.
They're great. Hippocampus from
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Listen to them, man.
Again, how underground they are, I'm not sure. Still, I think they're starting to make a bit of a name for themselves. From the US, but I don't know where.
Yeah. Also, really love. I don't know how big these are now, either. But like when I started listening to them, they were quite small. But they're called Geese. Have you heard of Geese?
No, I've
They're
not
they're a,
come
they're a
across
New
them.
York
No.
City band, right? And they've got this album called 3D Country, and it's absolutely nuts. And I just think if Mick Jagger had started his career now, that's exactly what he would be doing. And I really love Geese. But I will say, earlier in the year we did like a stripped back show, um, and we've played with like everybody who we played with them. But our mate Eddie has a thing going on called Ice Road Trucker now, and his songs are unreal. So if you haven't listened to Ice Road Trucker before, I'm gonna give him that shout out because his songs are
Yeah,
unreal. Yeah.
Brilliant, great stuff. Well, there's a few there for me to definitely go and
Yeah.
check out. So really, yeah, excited to dive into some of them. So you're allowed to see one final song from your favourite artist in your favourite venue. That
I
wasn't
don't
the
like
reaction
this
I was
one.
hoping for there, Ryan, I must say.
No, I don't like this
Who
one.
are you choosing?
Can I, I'm gonna go off what I think was the best live experience of a song that I've witnessed rather than all-time favorite thing ever. And
Mhm,
I'm gonna go with when like a band called Martha from Durham.
mhm.
Um, Amazing. And they have a song called Do Nothing, and it sounds like a Pixies song. Like it's really, really like it's just so full. Anyways, they um saw them play that at the Broodnell in Leeds. And that was, I was like, I've never had goosebumps like it in my life watching a band play a song. So I'd go back to that moment when Martha did Do Nothing in Leeds.
Brilliant, love
yeah,
that. Great.
nice. Tone it down a little bit.
That
I'm
was a
not
lot of
into
passion.
yeah. No, no. I mean, in terms of the genre and the kind of band, I think I'd go with the National. Well, a band I absolutely love. I think it was. I felt like I got like quite old. Like when I started listening to them, I was like, oh God, I feel like a dad now. Like this is. I remember thinking, I won't like this band, and then I started listening to them, and then for like I think it was like a year or two, it was just all I listened to. When I was working from home, like when you get your Spotify Wrapped, it's like you've listened to 300 days worth of the National, and I was like, probably cut this out, but probably say About Today, which it's not my favorite National song, but I think it's quite. I think a lot of people know it without knowing it. It's on the Warrior soundtrack, the film with Tom Hardy. It's at the end,
Mm,
and it's a very cathartic experience seeing it live. Matt Berninger's got an amazing voice. But yeah, I think that would be a good way to go out.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. So, okay, who, if on your next, release that you're going to put out, not the EP, one coming after that, if you could collaborate with any artist, who would it be?
You gotta say the Midnight, don't we? I don't know. Do it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's good.
I
It's
thought
a
we
really
doing a
good one.
collaborated
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Do you mean like what would be most fitting for us as a band, or who we individually would like to collaborate with?
Who, as individuals, who would you most like? Who would you want to collaborate with?
Oh, gets even harder when I put it like that now.
Yeah, I'll stick
Just
with the
looking
I'll stick with the Midnight just because I think we've not mentioned them in this interview and they're quite a heavy influence
Yeah,
of
yeah.
what we do. Certainly on the guitar side of things in the more
hmm
retro 80s neon sound. And we went to see them earlier this year all
Yeah.
together in Newcastle, and that was amazing. So yeah, I'd go with them.
I'm gonna say Brandon Flowers,
Nice.
and I think that like vocally, I get a
Yeah.
lot from the Killers. Like I
Mhm.
listen, I really love what he does as a vocalist, and I would love like some that would be amazing. So I want him to sing Gunshots.
Yeah.
That's what I want him to do.
Okie dokie. Now, before I ask this next question, I have to say I hope this doesn't happen. But if your tour bus was to break down in the middle of nowhere, which band member would you send to go and find help?
Ryan. Yeah.
I knew it'd be me.
That's happened to us before on
Oh no!
a non Club Paradise related
Yeah.
gig, but
Oh my God.
it was like 4 in the morning.
Yeah,
and
we
all
were driving back and we've
from
been
a small tour we'd been doing, and I think we got like an hour out from where we needed to be,
yeah,
and we all had work at like 9 o'clock the next day.
and it got to like 4, and then they were like on the phone. They were like, "It's gonna be 2 hours
Four.
till the AA come and rescue you," and the sun started coming up. And then this massive truck pulls up and he just screams at us, "Drive it on the back." That was
So yeah, because Ryan he nailed that at the time. He had to drive onto the sort of pickup.
I've never
and
known
we were in the front van, like looking back at him, and he's just looks like he's in Lightning McQueen.
I never realized how steep there was, the two tracks that
Yeah,
you
yeah,
go up.
yeah.
I never realized how steep they were until I'm in a VW transporter
A half on.
half 4 in the morning trying to, and the bloke's going, "You're gonna have to come back and go faster. You're gonna have to go back and come back." And I was like, ah.
But yeah, so because of that, Ryan, I don't think anyone else in the band who isn't here would disagree with that. I think we're all good.
I think if it wasn't me, it would be you.
Yeah,
So I
I
think
couldn't
that's-
imagine Jackson or Harry doing it.
No, I think they
Yeah.
just
But then if you leave them in the van together to bicker, it's not going to help anyone. So you maybe
they
send one
might
of
have
those.
they might have a fight. But
We'd have to split into twos, and
Yeah.
one of us would have to take one of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's how we'd figure it out.
Brilliant. Okay, so if Club Paradise had a theme song every time you entered into a room, what would it be?
It's got to be a wrestling thing.
Yeah, I know we're pretty heavy on my wrestling. But it's picking what one. Yeah. Go with the Hardy Boys. The
Oh,
Hardy
yeah.
Boys initial
Yeah,
theme song before like Jeff and Matt started doing their own stuff, which is fine. Thank God. Appreciate them as individuals and together. But yeah, when they first came on the scene, would go with the Hardy
that's a
Boys.
cool one.
WWE.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Loving that. Nice. If you had to choose a new band name based on the last thing you ate, what would it be?
I just had Nasda pizza, me like an hour ago. I don't know how I incorporate that into a
What
band.
kind of Asda pizza?
It's, chorizo, chili beef,
Is it thin base?
fin base, yeah. They stopped doing the oils though, not that long ago.
Oh,
So, yeah.
because I had
The chili beef boys.
yeah, the chili beef ones. That's a good one.
Sounds a little bit like
I like
Red
that.
Hot Chili Peppers.
I
cover
had really
band,
crispy
doesn't it?
chicken, so yours is better.
Yeah,
So it'd either be chili beef boys or really crispy chicken. So,
boys.
Yeah.
really crispy chicken boys.
That'll sell.
So, obviously, as we've discussed on the podcast, obviously you got the EP coming out, or as I say, will be out by the time this podcast comes out, and obviously the big gig at the Free Tanners next weekend as well. But looking ahead, what other sort of ambitions and targets have Club Paradise got, sort of, between sort of like now and sort of, I guess, sort of this time next year, really?
We're definitely gonna have more music out. The next two or three are pretty much, well, halfway there.
The hard bit's done
Yeah,
now.
the big bulk of that work's done. So we're definitely gonna have a couple more songs out. Um, we really want to be gigging a lot more. It's like it's been a bit tricky to get some shows recently. But like if anyone's listening and put shows on, we just love playing shows and we will come and play shows. And we were so close to pulling a really small tour together for the EP release. And unfortunately, just with different venues, just rescheduling them were really.
Yeah, and our commitments and
Yeah.
stuff. People have got jobs,
I-
you know what I
I
mean?
know.
Trying to get
Oh
like
my
things that tie
God.
up. It's hard, but yeah, just a lot more gigging
Yeah.
and keeping up with the releases.
Maybe we'll get good at the internet. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll this time next year we'll be
It's on the
online
New Year's resolution every year. Like,
every
we sit
year.
down and have a pint, and we're like,
This year,
we need to
though,
do the TikTok. We need to
I
do
know
the Twitter, the X.
I got it going for a bit.
Yeah, it does really well, but it was a bit of a one-man effort, which
And then
is
I just thought this is what am I getting out of this? Like
props to
nobody
the influencers. They get
yeah.
some shade, but
Nobody
keep
liked
it
the
up.
videos that were of my face. Everybody liked the other stuff. So I think lesson learned, the content is wrong. That's what we'll run
Well,
with.
I wish you good luck with trying to resolve the social media issues, and
In the
I do
face.
know, and I do know exactly what you mean. It is it can be a thankless task
Yeah.
at times with that. But look, Ryan and Nathan, unfortunately, that is the end of the This Is the Music Meets podcast. Thank you both so much for coming on and being brilliant guests. I've really enjoyed that. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. But before I do let you go, can you just let the This Is Music listeners know where they can find Club Paradise on social media? Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing.
On the off chance that we are there, everything is just at This Is Club Paradise except for Twitter. Sorry, X. That's how much we're not online. That's at Club Paradise with 2 underscores, but everything else is This Is Club Paradise.
Brilliant. I think most people do still refer to it as X. Sorry, Twitter even. Not X. Oh God, that's worrying. Look, those links, along with the link to the new EP, Life on TV, and as well the ticket link, as we mentioned earlier, for the show in North Shields next Saturday. We're going to be in the episode bio, so do go and stream and go and buy a ticket if you can for the show, because it sounds like it's going to be a great night up there. Club Paradise, look, thanks very much for coming on. I'm really looking forward to seeing the reaction to the EP on Friday, and I'll be keeping my eyes out on the socials as well for hopefully there'll be some gig clips as well that are being posted. Just want to wish you good luck with it, and yeah, looking forward to seeing the reaction, as I say, and can't wait to see what's coming next.
Thank you very much, mate.
Yeah,
It's
thank
been
you very
loads of
much.
fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
And all that leaves me to say is to thank everyone for listening to the latest This Is the Music Meets podcast. Please subscribe so you never miss out on any future episodes. And if you're loving the podcast, show us some love by giving us a rating and written review, as it really does help the artists we interview to be discovered. If you are listening to this episode on Spotify or Apple Podcast, then stay tuned, because at the end of this episode, you'll be able to hear Chasing the Summer from the new EP, Life on TV. Remember, the future is bright, the future is indie, and I'll see you very soon for another This Is the Music Meets podcast.